International Media TV. Television that listens to you.
Hi, I'm Johnnie Burrell. Welcome to the program.
Hi, this is Jackie Wright with International Media TV and Wright Enterprises, and we're here at the Push 2020 Summit. You know, and we're here for breakout sessions, but the way things are going, it's going to be more like break-in sessions. It's about breaking into the tech world in such a way that the tech world actually reflects what the American public looks like.
Well, let me say again, good afternoon to everyone. My name is Pastor Joseph Bryant, and I am the co-director of Rainbow Push Silicon Valley and Push Tech 2020. And welcome to our press conference today, and really welcome to the continuation of a very special movement that has been ignited here in not only the Bay Area but all around the country. There's quite a bit of a stir that is happening in a positive way with all of the energy that has been expended now over the past year plus as Rainbow Push has engaged itself in the technology space in a very meaningful way, from shareholder meetings to board meetings, from collaboration now to integration. We're very grateful for the opportunity to be in this space and really to begin to see the first steps of significant change, bringing diversity and opening more doors, providing more access, and really showing the wealth of talent that is in our black and brown community all over this country, even today with these finalists who are part of our startup competition. Tomorrow's conference is going to be one-of-a-kind experience. It's going to be something very unique and very special.
We've challenged Silicon Valley, the most robust industry in America, if not in the world today, to expand its view of the world in which it lives. Most arguments we heard was that there were talent deficits, but that really we find to be opportunity deficits. We're spending the time on H-1B visas as opposed to training our youth here at home. That need not be the case. We searched the record and found that the top 20 companies, most of whom would be there tomorrow, Apple and Google and Microsoft and Intel and the like. Of the top 20 companies, about 189 board members, about 36 women, about 3 blacks, and about 1 Latino. In the C-suites, about 370, about 3 Latinos, about 3 African Americans. Employment about a steady 2%. And then investment in startups, almost nothing. And we challenged that premise. The first that was resistance, but we bought shares of stock in the company so as to have access to the meetings. And what they found is what we said would happen, that our engagement is value added, not the cost of doing business. There's a huge body of talent waiting for an investment, waiting for an opportunity. What they were missing in basically locking out blacks, Latinos, and people of color is market, money, talent, location, kind of like a one-eye quarterback. They couldn't see the whole field. But in these inner cities of our country, we challenge them, one, to begin to build their enterprises, not just in downtown and suburb, but build enterprises in the inner cities, in the Baltimores of this country. We challenge them to take a renewed look at helping to build a pool of capital for development purposes, to build a pipeline from Silicon Valley to HBCUs, black colleges across the country where engineers are being trained, computer science is being taught, and STEM research is developing. We're challenging 1,000 churches to build tech centers in their churches, 80 to 100 desks, just begin to use some of that empty Sunday school space during the course of a week for tech.
First, I want to say thank you to Butch, Reverend Jackson, Pastor Bryant, Dale, the Rainbow Push Coalition, Galvanize, Silicon Valley Bank, and a big thanks to my partners, Christina and Christian from Build Up. It's an honor and privilege to be here today and to have this opportunity to announce the winners of the pitch competition. Also want to include that the pitch competition was a great coalition with Latino Startup Alliance, with Avion Ventures, with Code 2040, with Black Founders, and it was a community effort as we went out to put the call to action and say, hey, we're looking for great Black and Latino entrepreneurs to apply for this pitch competition. And we received areas from wearables, hardware, fitness, healthcare, and so forth. And with that, I'll ask the founders to do that introduction. And they all know, we had a pitch session right before this, the prep for tomorrow, so they all know their name, their one-liner. Yeah, that's good. and their elevator pitch. So we'll start to my left.
Hi, I'm Emerson Malka, co-founder and CEO of A Study Room, and we're the largest social platform for college students, and we're building the largest initiative to bring personalized and on-demand help to every student.
Hello, I'm Siva. I'm part of Wireless Tech, and our first product is Cocoon Cam. It's the first all-in-one wear-less baby monitor that can provide video and wellness information to parents that require the peace of mind.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Derek. I am the co-founder of FlipCause. FlipCause helps nonprofits raise more money by providing them a full suite of fundraising and donor engagement and management tools on their websites on demand within a matter of minutes.
Hi, my name is Marcus Egan. I'm a co-founder of Nodal Industries, and we built Numa, a small device that will protect you from your own smart home.
Hi, my name is Brian Clark. I'm the co-founder of the Human Data Project, and we automatically match patients to clinical trials.
I'm Anita Darden-Gardine. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Oniva. We take the hassle out of finding trusted care for your kid or your parent.
My name is Iscaida Jimenez. I am the CEO of Labor Exchange. It's a hiring platform to help companies source qualified, underrepresented talent.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jose Huitron, Jose Guevara, and Carmen Palafox. We are the co-founders of Crowdismo, a platform providing access to capital for diverse founders, providing a pipeline of money.
My name is Alvaro Ramirez. I'm the co-founder and CEO of eHarvest Hub. We help small farmers connect directly with retailers and truckers so they can increase their profit and cut the middleman out of the transaction.
Awesome. Let's give them a hand.
I was the only girl in my after-school computer class at Alvarado Elementary School here in San Francisco. Like, I was the only one. So as I come up, I've always been the only one, and so it's been rare to find somebody that looks like me or that looks like any of us here that actually made enough money to be able to go back and invest. So that there's work to be done with the folks that actually do look like us and have made money for them to understand what the value proposition is, but also what's the importance of building a product and what is the process.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Pastor Joseph Bryant, and I am honored to be the co-director of Rainbow Push Silicon Valley Project. This is an amazing day and a fantastic gathering. Give yourselves a round of applause. This is a momentous occasion, a historical moment, and you are a part of it. This is the most significant gathering of technology in our community. We have provided the essence of what Rainbow Push is, and that is we are a coalition that brings forces together. We make sure that those that have never seen one another can interact, exchange, and make a difference in our world. And the community is here. Our partners are here. The tech world is here. Business world is here. Financial services are here. Supplier diversity is here. Silicon Valley is here. The East Bay is here. The country is here. And you, friends and family, are here. This is what coalition really looks like. This is what the ecosystem of technology should look like. And we are making a difference right now because of the phenomenal leadership of the one and only Reverend Jesse Jackson. Would you kindly just give him what he rightly deserves today, and that is an applause of honor.
Good morning. Wow, this is a beautiful scene here in San Francisco today. I'm sure you've heard that the African American population here in San Francisco has been dwindling over the last couple of decades. So it's very nice to walk into a room and just see beautiful African American business leaders, philanthropic leaders, financial advisor leaders here. So it's wonderful to be here today, and thank you for having me. And we're doing we realize that the pipeline is critical, especially here in the city. So we're looking at our schools. We've partnered with Salesforce.com to do a middle school leadership initiative where we're looking at fostering more STEM in our public schools and getting access to quality hardware, computer hardware, and quality educators to teach these kids just great things such as coding. And I can tell you just personally, I'm a mother of an 8 and 5-year-old, that when I go to look at summer camps, to enroll my kids in summer camps this summer, my 8-year-old wants to be able to code and build his video games, because all 8-year-olds are into video games. So I go and I start looking around and I'm like, I'm going to find some summer camps. And I couldn't believe it. The summer camp here is $1,000 a week. And I'm like, okay, I'm middle class, and I'm thinking about whether I'm going to pay for that. What about the families that don't have access to $1,000 a week? And just for comparison, the regular, like the Rec and Park summer camps or the YMCA summer camps are about $200 a week. So we have a lot to do to bridge the digital divide, because all kids should be able to learn how to code.
It is great to be here with you. This is a great moment in our Silicon Valley, and as a native Northern Californian, I have hope when I look at a room like this that the prophecy that is the new movie that has been burning up Sundance called The Last Black Man in San Francisco may not come true. You know, I started my career as an organizer 27 years ago on Reverend Jesse Jackson's 88 campaign. I was 14 years old, and he was our hope that one day we'd be able to break the very thick glass ceiling that is the presidency of the United States. Let us recognize this morning as we come together that if there's anybody who is better, if there's anybody who is the best at signaling the beginning of the end of racial exclusion in any aspect of our country, it is Reverend Jackson. Obama's presidency would not have been possible without him. Bill Clinton's presidency would not have been possible without him. And I dare say Hillary's presidency, one day we will say, would not have been possible without him. You know, I've spent this last year, I'm a partner at Capeport Capital. Our investment table is 80% blacks, Latinos, and women, which is why we're impatient about the fact that our portfolio's founders are only 48% blacks, Latinos, and women. Which is why we push so many of our companies, such as Pay Near Me that you'll hear from later, to be as inclusive as possible, because we understand that technologies like Pay Near Me's will close gaps in our society, but that the high growth early stage startup of today becomes the behemoth of tomorrow in this valley. And if we can actually make the seeds more inclusive from the beginning, then the valley becomes more inclusive exponentially faster. The valley once was a valley. When I was a kid out here, we grew oranges in the Silicon Valley. And the farmers then understood what the investors understand now, which is so goes the seed, so goes the crop, so goes the crop, so goes our future. And there are people in this room like Joteka Edie, who's a long-time NAACPer, who have decided to actually take it on them to begin building the network and opening the doors. And let's understand how important that is. You know, there was a day in this valley during my lifetime, not very long ago, when we said women could not be programmers. We don't say that anymore. They said women could not be tech CEOs. We don't say that anymore. They said South Asian men, you know, they're really great workers, but they simply cannot lead. We don't say that anymore. There has been progress in this valley, but now we are up against the highest of all walls in American society, which is the wall of race. And let us each be courageous in our conviction that just as right now they say, black programmers, we don't know where they are. They will find us. If you look at the U.S. Census, it'll tell you there are 10 times more computer professionals, that's the track in the U.S. Census for programmers in the Chesapeake Bay region than there are in the San Francisco Bay region. We have about 3,500 out here. Well, Howard and Morgan State, etc., have both created and attracted in that Baltimore to Dulles tech corridor 35 to 40,000. The wall here will fall too. And one day we will say we were in a room with Reverend Jackson and we could start to see the crack in the wall. The beauty of Reverend Jackson's leadership is that he doesn't just do what so many do and say, oh, we have to start with the pipeline. So, 20 years from now, maybe we'll get our first real crop of black programmers. No, he starts with the obvious. He says, you know what, you use investment companies, let's get some investment companies in the mix. You use lawyers, let's get some law firms in the mix. You use ad companies, well, how about hiring one that's led by a black or Latino or maybe even founder? You need people who are at a certain level right away. Well, they exist. They're just 3,000 miles away. So let's fly them in to talk. And yes, by all means, let's not just have a strategy from recruiting from the same 7 colleges that you always recruit from in this valley. Let's get to the rest of the colleges in the country as well. And maybe some HBCUs while we're at it.
Thank you so much. It's really great to be here. And I just want to start by thanking Reverend Jackson and Rainbow Push for putting this event together. They're really making a difference in Silicon Valley, and it's really my pleasure to be here. And I'm glad to see so many of you here today really participating in this event. So as you heard, I'm the head of HR at HP. We are over 300,000 employees globally, so a little busy these days. And I think we're in the news quite often, but we have an unbelievable history in diversity and inclusion at HP. So we had the first African American and Hispanic employee resource group at HP in 1970. So I know I'm dating myself, but I wasn't there for the first one. But we really are committed to diversity, and our African American and Hispanic representation exceeds the Silicon Valley numbers by almost 3 times. Now, that's positive, but very far from where we need to be. We know we have a lot more work to do, but we're very proud of the foundation we've built at HP to be able to continue our commitment to diversity. And for decades, we've actually had a wide range of initiatives to increase representation globally around race, gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation, disability, and veterans.
But what Danny is doing that's so important is he's bringing dignity back within reach of consumers who are typically, frankly, humiliated when they have to deal with Western Union, or they have to deal with the one office in town that gathers checks from a Section 8 family where you all have to stand in line and give them a day of work just to pay your rent. He is connecting people who are locked out of the digital economy because they don't have a credit card to that economy, because now they can go to a 7-Eleven and pay with cash. He is a visionary who is motivated, yes, by the mission of building the first new payment network since PayPal, but the commitment to make sure that it actually benefits all of us from the bottom up. Danny Shader.
Well, thank you, Ben. That's quite an introduction. And thank you very much, Reverend Jackson and Butch Wing, for putting this all together and for including us. I'm really, truly honored to be a part of this today. Very quickly, my background is, as you mentioned, I'm sort of your classic Silicon Valley guy. I went to Berkeley and studied engineering. I went to Stanford to business school. I've started a number of companies. I've been acquired by a number of companies. So I've worked for big companies, small companies. Some of the things I did worked. Some of the things I did didn't work. But I've been around and I've seen a bunch. But now, as Ben mentioned, we're doing something that's really different. We've got a group of people who are trying to solve what we think of as the next digital divide. Right? So smartphones have brought connectivity to many people, but they can't pay. Right? So how do you participate if you're one of the quarter of the country that lives in cash? How do you participate in a world where everything we used to do face-to-face we're now doing remotely, where you can't shove your cash into your phone and you can't shove it into your computer screen? That's what Pay Near Me set out to do. And it's really an opportunity to use technology and innovation to serve the people who are most ignored. And that's what gets us all incredibly excited at our company. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about something much more important, which is how do we change the complexion of Silicon Valley? I think this is an incredibly important topic, and it's really hard to distill in just 10 minutes. But what I want to just do is offer, from a startup perspective, very different than Hewlett-Packard or Apple, why I think diversity matters, my observations on what I've seen in my career, and what we as one participant in this, very small participant in this ecosystem, are trying to do. First, let me make the business point here. Increased diversity is good for business, and that's a really good motivator. There are a number of reasons to this, but one of them is the best ideas. There are a few people in Silicon Valley like Steve Jobs who could invent ideas on their own. Those people are rare. Most of the startups, most of the things that happen around here are mashups of people's ideas coming together. And the best ideas happen when you have more diverse people at the table. So just diversity alone just leads to better ideas. Secondly, if you think about it, there's a huge portion of the population that's on the buying side of all this technology that aren't represented on the selling side of the technology. So how can it be that the people like us who are providing the technology don't have empathy or identification with the people who are consuming the technology? But maybe the most important thing of all is that intelligence isn't limited to just whites, Asians, and South Asians. Intelligence is spread all around the country, and Silicon Valley runs on intelligence, right? So by not being diverse, by not going outside where we normally recruit, we're missing huge portions of talent that are the fundamental engine of growth in this economy.
Well, thank you, Danny. Can we have one more round of applause for Danny Shader? You know, long time ago, Dr. King in his letter from a Birmingham jail said, and I'm paraphrasing, it's not the bigots who do everything that they can to stop us that are the real problem. It's the moderates who didn't do anything to help us. What makes Danny's role so important to me is that it's so easy for a startup founder. They're kind of the moderates of the valley, right? They're the ones that are not really big, they're not really small, they're growing rapidly, and they're in a place of power, and they have all sorts of other important things to be focused on, like, you know, raising the next Series B or C or D and making sure his folks are successful. And Danny has done everything that we have asked. He is taken this on as a mission, and I want you to understand how important that is, because in this world, it's not just sort of, as he says, kind of that the black folks coming in are excellent and are bringing in folks as kind of organizers do and as ethnic groups do. It's that the people who are in those small rooms of serial founders are saying, I'm absolutely committed to this. I'm going to take a risk for this. Because my company won't be, frankly, successful unless we are also making this country more inclusive and this valley more inclusive. And so please, if you get time to talk to Danny, but at the same time, if you're looking around this room and you're thinking, you know, well, I know founders of startups and they're not here, shame them just a little bit. And say, I saw Danny Shader took time to be at the Rainbow Push Summit. Where were you? You should have been there. I'm about to bring one of those behemoths to the stage in the personage of Lisa Jackson. Lisa is really sort of the lead light in a trend of people who started out in many ways as organizers coming into this valley. They include people like Phaedra Alice Lampkin, some of you may recall, led Green for All. She is now building the workforce for Honor, one of the fastest growing startups in this valley in the demand economy. Or Leandrew Robinson, who started off at the Ella Baker Center for Human Rights over in Oakland and now is COO of Karma Loop. Lisa Jackson, it would be easy to just say, is simply the former head of the EPA or a board member for Tulane and Princeton, her alma maters, and also at the Clinton Foundation. She is a big deal in this world and in this country. But she's also a reminder that very smart, folks in our community can start off at the very bottom and work their way up to the top and lateral from government, as many are preparing to do as the Obama administration comes to a close, into some of the most important companies in the world. So with that, I would like to join me in a warm round of applause for our friend and heroine, Lisa Jackson, the Vice President of Environmental Initiatives, and a direct report to Tim Cook at Apple.
I'm a bad behemoth, apparently. Thank you so much, Ben. Hi to everyone in the room. I'm going to say hi to Ken. I'm going to say hi to my homegirl and another bad bee, Desiree Rogers over here from Essence. I know there's a lot of media in the audience, so I'm not singling her out, except I have to single her out. We work together, and she is an incredible manager, leader. As well. Thank you, Reverend Jackson, for having me, for the honor of having me today. It's a pleasure to be with so many committed activists and leaders in the audience. You, sir, and Rainbow Push have been doing important work in providing a vital national voice on issues of equality and justice that continues to this day. So I'm going to tell you a story. I told him I was going to tell a Reverend Jackson story. He said, "Now don't start none. Won't be none." But it's a good story. You know, I want to tell you the story of a young girl who grew up in the 9th Ward in New Orleans. Her father was a mailman, postal worker. Her mother was a secretary, and whose parents, like so many parents, had big dreams for her. Bright. And of course, being bright only meant that the expectations were that much higher. She was expected to do well in school. She finished with good grades from her local Catholic grammar school, so her father worked a second job at Sears and Roebuck so she could go to one of the best schools in the city. It was actually a high school that her godmother had integrated years before. She studied hard. She had some great teachers who encouraged her. Occasionally, she had some that were a little bit different. She had one teacher who proudly displayed the Confederate flag in the back of the classroom. It was a U.S. history class. She went home, she complained to her mother and said, "This is not going to work," and her mother said, "No excuses." So she got an A in that class. She got a B on her very first algebra test. And so she went home with that same godmother, and she worked every problem over and over again. And she never got another B in that class. In fact, she never got another B again in high school, ever. She finished first in her class. So when it came time to write her valedictory address, she decided to quote from a leader who had inspired her to dream big, and whose ambition for young black America matched her own. And she said, "If my mind can conceive it and my heart can believe it, then I know I can achieve it." Of course, those are your words, Reverend Jackson, so thank you. Because yes, that young woman went on to graduate summa cum laude in chemical engineering from Tulane to get a master's degree in chemical engineering from Princeton, to serve in the cabinet of President Barack Obama, and now Vice President at Apple. And I'm not done achieving, and I certainly will never forget where I came from. But now let's talk about tech workers. We can start at the end of the pipeline here, but we have to go up the pipeline to see the real story. African Americans make up approximately 8% of the U.S. population with bachelor's degrees in science and technology. Latinos and Hispanics are closer to 10%. Not all tech degrees are created equal. That's not for lack of trying. Turning out great engineers or computer scientists or computer engineers takes money. Money for computer labs, money for computing power, money to attract the kind of world-class faculty that bring more world-class faculty. So it's no wonder that anyone who really wants to make a difference here has to go up the pipeline and address education. Let me just say that we know that diversity in the workplace not only makes sense on the human level, but on the business level.
Our company and our economy as a whole is stronger when it includes people of different races, genders, sexual identities, ages, and backgrounds. We want a team that's at full strength, not one where half of it is sitting on the bench, or even worse, where half of the players aren't even asked to try out. It's bigger than that, even. Our sector is transforming the path to justice in the world. Social media, mobile phone cameras, the next generation of activists are using these to ensure that South Carolina or Baltimore are not rumors or whispered sad truths, but inconvenient, uncomfortable, soul-shaking moments for our country. We're very proud of that. So I'll finish where I started. We know we can conceive a different future. We at Apple believe it is a just future, and so we are determined to achieve it. Thank you very much.
You know, folks, I was talking to Reverend Jackson, who I'm about to bring up, and he just kind of looked at me and he gave me that smile. If you know him well, you know that smile. He said, you know, they said that they couldn't find us, so I figured I'd just bring us to them. And I did it without a budget. You know, when you stand on this podium and you see Lamell McMorris, one of the most effective government relations experts in this country, among many other things, just sitting in the audience. You look over here, you see Desiree Rogers, the head of Ebony and Jed and Johnson Publishing, just sitting in the audience. Loop Capital, Burrell Advertising, it could just go on and on and on. We have incredible black-owned companies in this country that do incredible work for some of the biggest companies in this country, and there's no reason that we should not be doing more work for the companies in this valley. As the former head of the NAACP, you know, I had a lot of people kind of seek to, frankly, to divide me and Reverend Jackson early on. You know, he shows up at the Google meeting, and folks come to me quickly hoping, you know, to be able to discount him. And they would say, well, you know, why is he here? Why is he here now? And I said, well, you know, Reverend Jackson's kind of funny like that. You know, he's kind of like smoke. He doesn't show up unless there's a fire. So could you explain to me what the fire is? And they'd get real quiet. And then occasionally somebody say, who's been working, you know, in the trenches that were cut by Ken Coleman out here for many years, would say, well, why didn't he show up sooner? And I say, well, you know, I guess I say about Reverend Jackson like we say about God in the black church. He don't always come when you want him, but he's always right on time. As I mentioned earlier, there are people who have become president, at least two of them, because of Reverend Jackson's work. Presidents, frankly, who did better because of his work. There are millions of people who can vote because of his work. There are children who go to libraries without being told, no, you're not welcome here, because of his work. And yes, the days that we have been allowed to suffer in the midst of this lie that there are none of us to work with in this valley. There are none of us who are qualified to be here right now. Just as the days when they said that women were not qualified or South Asians couldn't lead have come to an end, those days will come to an end too, in part because Reverend Jackson is here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, Reverend Jesse Jackson.
I want to start off by saying I wish Dr. King were here today. You are the fruits of his dreams. Here we sit in a multicultural setting, turning to each other, not on each other, trying to figure it out. Let's bow our heads in prayer. Bless our efforts. have mercy upon us. Incline us to do the right things for the right reasons. For those who suffered and been martyred in the process, be with them today. For those who died in our streets, whose parents mourn, whose backs are against the wall, who recycle hopelessness, let us be those lights of hope and new possibility that can lead us on from this place to a higher degree of grace and understanding. Amen. I want to welcome you to the Rainbow Push Coalition's Push Tech 2020 Summit. A part of the long journey for civil rights and economic justice. There is no science, no job, no contract we cannot master. There's nothing we cannot do. When the walls come down, we'll all share the sunshine. You put two seeds in the ground of equal strength, and you water them both, and you put a wall between them. One is taller with multiples of fruit, one is narrow and shorter and bitter. The tall is not better. The small is not lesser. It's the one that had access to sunshine. It's called photosynthesis. You put the same dough in a glass or a jar. The dough will take on the size of its environment. It's the same dough. We're trying to make a statement that we are qualified to do anything Silicon Valley has to offer and to enhance it. Something is missing. There's a challenge today to rise up to our new possibilities. Some lock us out by history, some by culture, some by bad habits. We need to build together. There is, I say, an unbroken line from Selma to Silicon Valley. 50 years ago, we marched across the South and the nation, demanding and winning the historic Civil Rights and Voting Rights Act that broke down legal segregation, that today is under attack yet again. We broke down old walls of separation and built new bridges of hope and opportunity. But there are cracks in the bridges, new walls of reaction and resistance being erected, from Trayvon Martin to Oscar Grant, to Eric Garner, and now Freddie Gray in Baltimore. There are cracks. Recycled white male supremacy is not meritocracy. We learn some bad lessons well. We once described the World Series without any Latin Americans able to come on the field, or Venezuela, or Dominicans, or African Americans, or Japanese. We look at the world through a keyhole and not through a door. We must look at the real world as it is. The system is broken. Despair and disenfranchisement, lack of hope in our communities. Where more black youth are in jail than in college. Unemployment hovers over 50% in the inner cities. What does it mean in Baltimore when 80% of the police don't live in the city? They come in as occupants, not as neighbors. How can we adjust to Baltimore, 30 miles from Washington, 35% black unemployment, 55 per youth, 50% of high school graduates? Well, you said to me last Tuesday while I was in Baltimore, Real, put up with this. I was locked up for smoking some weed. I came out, I couldn't vote because I'd been to jail. I couldn't get the job because I'd been to jail. Where do I go from here? The system is broken. And so let's focus on educating our youth. In STEM and in the fundamentals, let's focus on economic opportunity, in high tech or low tech, and biotech. Let's close the income inequality gap and the hope gap that burden falls upon this valley. In this room today are engineers looking for an opportunity. Startups looking for an investment. Incubators looking for a partner. Women looking to be respected. People of color seeking not to be denied based upon the color, a color tax. We come to the valley today to make the valley grow. Brilliant, hardworking, skilled, one-eyed quarterbacks don't do well. On the blind side is money, market, talent, location, growth, and hope. And so in the face of what we're looking at, let us not adjust, be maladjusted, be discontented. Let's not simply be angry and resent, but let's resist and fight back and make America, America for all of us. This land is our land, made for you and me. God bless you. Keep hope alive.
Reverend Jesse Jackson, ladies and gentlemen.
Try to leave a moment for introductions at the end, and also our dais was not large enough for our last panelist to join.
ISM Conference, Institute of Supply Management in Arizona.
Well, do you see any headway that's going to be made for individual people that have talent in the tech area as a result of this happening today? Will there be any kind of infrastructure left by your chamber, or any particular program or information that could help people?
Sure. So, a number of the companies that are represented here today, again, are in our great city of Austin, Texas. Your Dells, your Samsungs, your Intels, your HPs, your Googles, your Facebooks, your PayPals, your LegalZoom. They're all in our city. And many of them that I just listed are members of our organization. So this initiative coming out as a national effort further validates the work that we're doing in the city of Austin around diversity and technology. But what does that look like for someone who's an attendee here today? It's hard to exactly quantify what's going to come out of this conference. I think a lot of times what we're not able to do is understand the residual impact of what it means for the attendee to see positive examples of themselves in a situation like being here, to hear inspirational stories, and to connect with people in the industry. Sometimes you can't, say that this is going to lead to success today, but it may be just the catalyst that they need to inspire them to go into business in the future, or to make the necessary connections that they needed to here today.
As president of the Black Chamber of Commerce, I am wondering if there is another element to this whole Push Tech 2020 besides just being employed by the tech companies and getting business with the tech companies. What else do you see needs to be done?
Great question. In America today, from an African American perspective, the number one concern we have is unemployment. But if you really look at it, there's 1.9 million African American owned businesses, and there's 1.9 million unemployed African Americans. So simple math says each one of these small businesses have the resources as well as the ability to hire one additional African American. We no longer have an unemployment conversation in our communities. What this initiative is really doing is teaching people really about being entrepreneurs, because we really feel like that is the answer. We're looking at corporate America to say, spend less money spend less money on us and more money with us. Give us the opportunity to create and manage our own economy. And a lot of that responsibility is on African Americans as well. So it's really a twofold conversation. One, we need to be more responsible with the dollars that we are currently having. You've heard a lot of information about the $1 trillion of spend that African Americans control, but less than 3% of that is going back into African American dollars. Less than 3% of that is going back into African American businesses. African Americans currently are doing a very bad job when it comes to managing our own dollars. In the Hispanic community, their dollar stays in their community 28 days. In the Asian community, it stays there 21 days. In our community, our dollar leaves within 6 hours. We have to do better. And by controlling our dollars, being conscientious consumers, we have the opportunity to be able to really change our economy within our own dollars that we currently are making.
I think one of the most shameful things I can say about where we are right now, we don't help the people who've helped us. The whole African American middle class, when you look back in the 70s, when we couldn't get dealerships, Reverend Jackson was there. We couldn't get franchises. Reverend Jackson was there. You probably have about 25% of the entrepreneurial black middle class that was built off of Reverend Jackson presenting a positive opportunity to corporate America to make more money, have more markets, expand, create more value by working with us rather than leaving us out. And now we have the opportunity for the next big growth, which is in technology, to have the techniques he talked about applied in a positive way. You see people responding positively, and yet we think somehow he can do it without the full support of our community. In the 70s, 80s, he had the full support. People were marching, full support. We have a big opportunity today. So I just want to underscore, when you look at that envelope, what did he put in that envelope for us? I just want to ask a question. What did he put in the envelope for us? When you look at the envelope, I have to say this, and I know you don't want me to, I'm going to say it anyway. He was there when Dr. King was shot down. He was younger than most people in this room. He's standing in a line. He saw the guy in front of him, Malcolm X, get shot. He stays in the line. He saw Medgar in the same line in front of him get shot. He stayed in the line. He saw Malcolm, he saw Martin, he saw Jimmy Lee Jackson. All these people in front of him in line got shot, and he stayed in the line. I wouldn't have stayed in the line. I would have got out the line. And a lot of people did get out the line. But because he stayed in the line, Coca-Cola, Ford, you go down the list now of corporations that have their doors open to us. We're in the C-suites. We have dealerships and franchise. Because he stayed in the line, we were able to extend a line of hope and opportunity to our community. And every single time he comes on the stage, as far as I'm concerned, he deserves a full standing ovation, if not tears. There's no telling where we would have been without his leadership. And if it breaks his own pride to ask for help. If we can't help the people who help the people, if we can't help the people who are on the front line in Appalachia, who are on the front line for AIDS and gay folk in the 80s, when every other black preacher ran the other way, if we can't help the people who were there for the workers, who were there for the students, when other people were getting out the line, if we don't fight for what we want and fight for the people who are fighting for us, we deserve what we get.
Hey, y'all, $300 million. Will y'all get up right quick, please?
And we really want a workforce that is diverse and represents the community that we're trying to serve with our technology. We truly believe that a workforce that represents that has more innovation, has the ability to produce products that people want. This makes good business sense. As you know, we need to hire and retain more women and more underrepresented minorities, and we need to get them more engaged in science and technology in the schools. Today I'm announcing that Intel is entering into a memorandum of understanding with the Oakland Unified School District. To ensure that equitable access for all students and that we place them on a pathway to earn college degrees that provide them with meaningful economic outcomes to reach their full potential. Our intention is to invest $5 million over the next 5 years to implement a comprehensive education transformation solution that will create a computer science and engineering pathway for more than 2,400 students. What's different about this program is it's not just about pushing people through school and getting them the education, but we're going to provide real jobs. We're providing internships, and we're guaranteeing those who graduate through this program jobs at Intel.
startups and venture capital. A significant number of people here who have worked for other major tech companies 15, 20 years, and with their white counterparts, when they decided to check out at that point, they went right straight from there to VC. But they couldn't get access to capital. And you are talking about an Intel investment fund, perhaps with more details to summer. What do you mean by investing in startups?
Well, it's the same thing that we've talked about at these conferences, where if you take a look at the percentage of minority-owned startups and minority-driven startups, it doesn't represent the population. And so that means there's again that bias being built in, and so it's not a question of likely availability. There's people out there wanting to make these startups, and it's about access. And so we've been trying to work, and you can kind of see the pattern we have where we try and put together, groups of people who are going to zero out those biases and then give them control. And we're trying to build a program like that around a portion of our capital. And we do a lot of venture capital.
People who are extremely qualified, who the ceiling was they couldn't get the investment fund funded. What about marketing and advertising? That's a big deal for us.
As far as startups in those areas, or marketing and advertising for these companies?
For Intel.
Okay.
Black Enterprise, Ebony. I mean, what about putting our being in the advertising marketing budget?
So we have an effort, again, through a variety of these programs, that yes, we would push a percentage of our marketing. Again, if you're trying to represent the population, we realize that additionally, yes, in marketing, it needs to represent the population as well. So we have an effort to go ensure that a portion of this is tied to that as well.
What about the executive leadership and boards? Now, we still have this great deficiency in boards of directors. How do you make that adjustment?
So luckily, I can say I don't get to control my board. I wish I could. I wish I could pick the people. I can tell you that in our proxy statement, it says that our board will consult with the chief diversity officer before selecting candidates. So it ensures that there are a broad spectrum of candidates. But board retention and board transitions, I don't get to control that. I can tell you that
what's the turnover? Some have they've been laying around there for a long time.
See, now you're going to get me in trouble, Robert. They're my bosses. Everybody has a boss.
I want the president of Morehouse College to come up here, please. Dr. John Wilson. He's helping us lead the drive to connect. Everything that Silicon Valley wants is happening between Morehouse and Spelman, and the schools with which it's connected. So he made a terrific fly from Georgia to here today. Now, please say something to us, John.
Hello, everybody. I just got off a 5-hour flight, and that's why you're not used to seeing the Morehouse president in jeans, right? But it was a comfortable flight. I know we have some Morehouse people in the room. One from Intel, Leroy Trippett. Please stand. Others. Other Morehouse. I have my provost here, Kai Campbell. There's Morehouse. There's Morehouse, right? Morehouse from Apple Computer. Morehouse. Yeah. Where's Tyrone Crowder? Oh, he was there in my day. Tyrone, how you doing? I think I better call Tyrone. Tyrone, man, what's up? Let me see you afterwards, Tyrone. Listen, I appreciate you giving me this time. I know it's unscheduled. I just want to say hi to everybody. My provost, Kai Campbell, is in the room. Please stand, Kai. What you need to know about him is he is a mathematician from Swarthmore. He wrote a brilliant strategic plan for Swarthmore and has written one for us and with us. And the future of Morehouse College is centered on STEM and STEAM. And you will see evidence of that in the near future with some announcements and partnerships. The other thing you need to know about him is that the new president of Spelman College happens to be his mother. Now, how's that? That's pretty exciting. So look for Morehouse in the future to assert ourselves in the area of STEM even more. We have 700 declared STEM majors, 700 African American men majoring in STEM fields. All right? That's critical mass. That's critical mass right there. We plan to do the right things with it. You gave me the mic. You were kind enough. Thank you, Reverend Jackson.
So in North Carolina, A&T State University is giving Morehouse a break.
Good catch. Last couple of items, we are very grateful for the pitch competition, which started in the first half. You give the pitch competition founders and entrepreneurs a hand. We want to thank Build Up and Black Founders Code 2040, Latino Startup Alliance, for helping us to collaborate some of the greatest talent from across this country. It is an amazing experience that we have been over the past month as we received over 80 applications for the pitch competition. Black and brown young entrepreneurs that are brilliant, doing some amazing things. And we brought the finalists, the 10 top entries that are here today. The first 5 pitched earlier, and the next 5 are going to pitch right after this session. And we want to thank Salesforce for contributing to our first place prize, which is going to be $10,000 for the first place winner. And we want to thank Cisco for providing for the second and third place winners that will receive $2,500. We want to thank HP for providing computers for the winners. Thank you so much, HP. And we would like to thank our leader, Reverend Jesse Jackson, for ensuring that all of those young folks are leaving here as winners. Even numbers 4 through 10 will leave today with $1,000 from the Rainbow Push Coalition for their participation and being in the top 10. Let's give them all a hand, everyone.
In San Francisco, a city known for its tourism, you can say that Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. and his team got down to business with the Push Tech 2020 Summit. You know, there's a lot in that name, and it's more than just the year. It also represents vision, 2020 vision, to include diversity, innovation, and also inclusion.